Yo, what's good? Going to be doing a little bit of a technical analysis update here for the markets. So, we're going to start on the dollar currency index because this has been having a pretty big effect on equities since this has started taking a break. You can see here, really back since September, you've been making lower highs and you're kind of creating this sort of structure right here. Now, if you look at it this way, now this is just speculation, mind you, but if we take what happened in September and October sort of as a head, and then we draw a neckline with this dotted white line here, you could potentially be making some sort of head and shoulders pattern if you get a relief rally from this red line. This red line is the 200-day moving average, so it's acting as support right now. So basically what I'm arguing is you could maybe see something like this, and you either fizzle out and go back down, or maybe you get to the end of this wedge and you go back up like this. Remember, again, this is just speculation. Right now, all we can really infer from the price action is that you fell below your 50, you fell below your 100, and now you're gaining support at your 200. Now it seems to be slowing down a little bit in terms of going down, and realistically with the rate hikes that are still occurring and scheduled to occur, I think they'll go up to 5%. In terms of how they'll keep hiking before they stop. So taking a break right now, but you got to remember China's still dumping its U.S. denominated dollar debt, yet they're still hiking. So really the dollar is still going to be in high demand throughout this economic reset until kind of the latter stages of it. And what's been really interesting is kind of throughout the past year, any pauses in the rally of the DXY, the dollar currency index, usually have correlated to Bitcoin's price doing marginally better. Because Bitcoin's sort of like an anti-fiat sort of hedge. So if we take this position, let's see, 6th of July 2022 to the August 2022, and we take a look at Bitcoin. July, February, March, April, May, June, July. Okay, so here's July. Here's that point that I was talking about. It was basically this. So the dollar currency index went marginally down, and Bitcoin had a bit of a rally. Now what's happening this time is even though even though the dollar currency index has been going down, Bitcoin has been going down with it. Now, prior, the dollar currency index going down was great for Bitcoin, but this tells me, this divergence basically from the norm tells me that Bitcoin is going to be underperforming. That's right, underperforming versus regular equities in the coming months. Now, if you go on Twitter, if you go on YouTube, and this is not everyone, but I mean, the Bitcoin people are literally there's never not a time during this whole basically past year. Let's just get rid of this and this so we can see what we're talking about. There has literally never been a time from and I've been in crypto a long time, but there is hardly ever a time that these Bitcoiners are not bullish. And you know who I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about. I don't know how else to describe it, but literally, the Bitcoiners are literally always bullish. They think it's always going that way. And they've been bullish this whole entire time. It's been crashing, But I'm here to tell you that that's pure hopium. They are there to shill and do other stupid, annoying things that cryptocurrency people tend to do. They have no honor. They have no real way of assessing price and technical levels. I mean, you take for instance Plan B. He has charts and data and he uses technical analysis and whatnot. But that guy has literally been saying since way back here that Bitcoin was going to $100,000. Adamant about it the whole time through here. Still adamant down back here when it's at 1650 or 16,500. So listen, you can say that it's going to do this all you want till you're blue in the face, which a lot of Bitcoiners love to do. I mean, they do that all the fucking time. They'll just sit there and tell you all sorts of copium and hopium till they're blue in the face, and then they'll do it again. They rinse and repeat. You know what I'm saying? So they're not here for your best interest. What I'm trying to tell you is that Bitcoin has been underperforming relative to everything else. Like, take a look at this. Let's go Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ. So if you were to price Bitcoin in one share of the NASDAQ, what would it be worth is basically what this chart is describing. Now you can see this dotted maroon line right here is your legacy channel from way back when it started falling. Now this is definitely looks like to be a bit of a falling wedge perhaps of sorts, but we're certainly not at the end of the wedge by any means. I mean, look at this. I mean, you perfectly came up, hit this technical level, and I'm sure that was near the 200. Yep, look. You hit this 200 day, and remind you, this is Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ. You hit this 200 day, you peeked your head up just a little bit, turtle came out of its shell just a little bit, and then it dumped. So why do you think it's going to be doing anything different this time? And the critics of my theory would probably say, oh, this is a W bottom, you were going to go up. And I was calling this for this to happen for a while now. I don't see why anything is going to be different. I mean, this is Bitcoin divided by tech stocks. You've seen what's happened to tech stocks, right? Okay, maybe you haven't. Let's go look at the NASDAQ. Maybe you're unaware exactly of what's been happening to the NASDAQ recently. Oh, look at that. Downward channel. NASDAQ has gone down 30% since its peak if we measure it from basically mid-November to mid-November. So about a year. Bitcoin divided by NASDAQ, so in terms of relative performance to the NASDAQ, if we go from just November, Bitcoin's lost 67% of its value on something that's gone down 30%. So relatively to the NASDAQ, Bitcoin has been, that much worse. I mean, that's pathetic. That's absolutely pitiful. And the story would be same if you measured Ethereum, for instance. Now, Ethereum might have done a little bit better here. Let's see. Bitcoin was like 67% in November. 66. Okay, so Ethereum's just as bad against NASDAQ. See ETH divided by NDQ. I mean, look, ETH divided by NASDAQ the chart almost looks even worse than Bitcoin. I mean, you made this low here. You'll probably come down and use that as support again after you capitulate a little more down. Let's see what this looks like. This just doesn't really look great either, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if you journeyed back, you ventured far back down in here eventually. I mean, I'm saying throughout 2023, I wouldn't be surprised if ETH versus NASDAQ went down here to this ratio, which is another 50% loss if measured from here. Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if it came all the way back down there. You make some sort of round trip, as I guess maybe you would say. And let's see if we line this up right here. I mean, yeah, anything down in here. If you think the mega recession, mega bubble is popping, if you think this is going to be the credit event of the decade in terms of like what this recession could be like, then I have no qualms about thinking ETH is going to go down here. I mean, this is, and people are like saying, "Oh my God, like this is the bottom. It's never been more undervalued down here compared to its logarithmic charts and blah blah blah." Well, you know, things look really pretty on log charts. Let me tell you that. You can cherry pick data because everything is, it just looks better. See, like this drawdown doesn't look as bad on a logarithmic chart. We take log off, and it's like, oh, it's still looking kind of weak. Anyways, those are speculation and opinion, but what I'm trying to reiterate is that anyone giving you hopium, anyone feeding you hopium is also speculation and opinion, right? You can make these charts and you can make the data set appear how you want to because of price bias, anchoring bias, cognitive biases, all sorts of different types of biases that take place in the markets. I'm just saying on a technical level, it is not, these cryptocurrencies have been shitting themselves compared to the wider market, and the wider market's taken a 20 to 30% correction. So I remain in the same spot that that crypto's a big short. This is what I am using to follow through on that theory is BITI. This is an inverse Bitcoin ETF that is available for trade. I know it's available for trade for U.S. Customers, basically. But you went into this volatility funnel a while ago. This is where I entered because I thought we were at the end of the funnel over here. But look, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you broke above the funnel. So you can see price within this triangle, within this funnel, price was getting squeezed. It was basically getting compression, and then you had a release over here at the end of this, and now you're sitting on top of the funnel. Now, I'm not really sure what's happening because our data on the Bitcoin short is pretty small. Our data set's pretty small here. But let's turn on, where'd they go? Here we go. These candles show momentum a lot better. And you can see, generally speaking, the momentum has been, oh geez, it all came back. But the momentum has been this way, okay? And Bitcoin, generally speaking, momentum has been that way. You see how they're opposite? See that? Opposite, okay? Now, I think this is just one big continuation pattern. I think Bitcoin's going to continue to underperform versus equities, like the NASDAQ, tech stocks even, like the NASDAQ, or like that are on the NASDAQ composite index. I think Bitcoin will continue to underperform the rest of those throughout the rest of this. Now, one thing I do keep in mind is you have central bank digital currencies being piloted right now. If they somehow get some approval and they get regulation and everything starts to become A-OK, then maybe that will legitimize some of crypto. But I really don't think the Federal Reserve is gonna. They're not gonna be like, oh, we'll just use Bitcoin. No, they're gonna just make their own system and they're gonna control it. It'll be a quote unquote distributed ledger technology, but it'll be on their centralized servers. You know what I mean? They're not gonna use Bitcoin. So, you know, this video is just to kind of get rid of your hopium on Bitcoin. I really don't think it's going to be doing too well, especially when you consider the fact that this pause in the rally of the dollar could be just that. It could just be a pause on the way up. So you broke this trend line right here. We'll just leave that. But you still have, this is kind of like a parabola right here, and you still have kind of this legacy technical level on the parabola too. So, and if you think about it, the end of this triangle right here coincides with this other technical level on the parabola. See what I'm saying? So I think with the way that the Fed is still hiking rates, and based on what I'm seeing technically, that, you know, this could be well into 2023, but even if the dollar just consolidates and just stays right here, think about it, it's above 100, the dollar. You know, I never would have thought it was going to go that high. I mean, 02, 03, 2000, 86, 81. I mean, the dollar is still very strong, all things considered. So even if it just consolidates sideways, it's not really great for Bitcoin or in equities, and we know Bitcoin is not behaving well at all during this financial reset sort of crisis era. So even if this just consolidates, it's still not good for Bitcoin or equities, let alone if it goes higher, which it could, considering the rate hikes that they have in store. So all that to say is, I guess I'm still short, and it's been paying off thus far. I believe there's going to be continuation patterns forming. So that's kind of where I stand. Peace out.